Roger. Hey, Roger.
Yeah?
Hey, man. I was thinking, you know, there's more to life than just movies and mayhem, you know?
You been drinking?
No, I wasn't drinking when I was thinking of this stuff.
Uh-huh.
We should do something more. I wanna skydive.
Yeah.
I wanna run marathons. I think it's time that I open up a bit more, to you, and we get closer as, buddies forever. And I just absolutely, thoroughly appreciate all the offers that you've given me here, and when you've covered for me when, I've come in late, or I've not come in at all, or, I've broken stuff. You always look the other way, man. And you didn't even get mad that time I called in on your birthday and you had to come in and work. And I just wanted to tell you, I love you. I absolutely love you. Anything you want to say back? Roger? Raj?
Are you talking to somebody, dude?
Last time I open up to anybody. I'm taking this.
Hello, internet fans, and welcome to 3B Video. I'm your host, Rotten Roger DeMarco, and today we're going to be talking about Gregory Plotkin's 2018 film, Hellfest. Yeah. Okay, so here is your plot synopsis. A group of friends decide to go to this Halloween-themed amusement park called Hellfest. And when they get there, they inadvertently anger a killer killing people who aren't necessarily in the Halloween spirit, shall I say. And I really, really like this movie. But before we get into my overall thoughts of the film, first, let's take a look at
Ryan Rogers! Splatter facts.
we have 6 dead bodies. We have 0 titties. Kind of unrealistic to have a bunch of tits flopping around at the amusement park anyway, but I was still holding out hope. We have random Tony Todd, gratuitous jump scares, a photo booth makeout session, methodical stalking, poop humor. Yeah, classic. And we have gratuitous Pop Goes the Weasel. The methods of death include and basically are limited to stabbed, hammered, and a needle to the eye. But mainly a lot of stabbing, a lot of getting poked, but not the fun kind. Okay, so now on to my overall thoughts of this film. In my opinion, guys, I think that this is a very fun, exciting throwback to those 80s slashers. And I think a lot of movies that came out in the late 90s up to now have really tried to duplicate the feel of an 80s slasher movie. And some of them come close, and some of them come across as complete parodies of the genre that they're trying to make a love letter for. But this movie, in my opinion, which is all it is, it's just an opinion, I think that this movie nailed everything about that 80s slasher vibe now. And it's very successful. The only element that is missing from this that is in an 80s slasher, like take for example Tobe Hooper's Funhouse, which I talked about with Dark Ride, is the nudity. Dark Ride has nudity, Funhouse has nudity, this one does not have nudity. The plot device is a little different in this film. People aren't breaking into a closed amusement park ride or a closed amusement park to canoodle and have some tomfoolery and mess around. These people come to an actual event, which is what makes it different, because you think that since they're at an event filled with thousands of people, that they should be safe. And this movie takes that comfort that you expect to have in an experience like this and says, no, just because there are a lot of people around doesn't mean that you're not going to get stabbed. Stabby, stab, stabbed. A lot of stabbing. And the thing about this movie, compared to all of those other 80s slasher ripoffs, is that this movie feels very genuine in its approach. Feels like the people who made this movie studied the genre, cared about the genre, have a very specific type of horror film that they love, and they did their best to duplicate it or show respect to it. And the overall product of this movie is fantastic. I have such a good time with this movie, and being as it's October, you know, this movie captures that Halloween vibe where everyone's in costumes. The theme park itself is amazing. There's all of these awesome jump scare things from the rides and from the crowd and people running around. You get your fill of Halloween in this movie. So many cool costumes, so many cool set pieces, and really creative gore effects. Even if the methods of death are very minimal, with a lot of stabbing, that does not take away from the fact that the gore in this movie is top notch. Especially one scene in particular involving a hammer. Better than the majority of splatter effects, even in this era. Sometimes they lack, and the people who did the effects in this film kill it. No pun intended. Or maybe it was. Haha. And I think one thing about this movie, for me, that makes it so enjoyable also is that the characters are fairly likable characters. They all have distinct personality traits. Some of the relationships or budding relationships are adorable. When you're watching the movie, you're just like, oh, I really like that guy and that girl. I hope everything works out. Even though you almost forget what type of film you're in, and you're like, well, it's not going to work out. They have to die. Everyone has to die. That's why we're sitting here in the dark waiting for this killer. Works really well because you're like, man, I'm enjoying these people's company. It'd be cool if they made it out. Spoiler alert. One thing about this movie that's amazing and simple at the same time is the killer. The masked killer's look is very simple, but also very scary at the same time. I think that the killer's method of stalking and making people afraid of him is top notch. It's done very well in this film. You get a lot of glimpses of the killer in the background or the killer interacting with the main cast, but you're not quite sure how he's going to go about these things. You have to wait a long time for violence to actually happen, which also lets you get to know these characters really well and enjoy seeing them and have a good time with them. And again, there is a really solid dynamic between all of the friends in this movie. It feels like they had either they have worked together numerous times or they've had plenty of time to rehearse, because it comes across very genuine. Their relationships seem real, they seem fleshed out. If this was not a horror movie, if no one was murdered, you would still watch this movie and see how it played out and see if the guy got the girl. Your geeky kid hooking up with a girl movie. Almost a coming of age movie, even though they're in college, but it has some really cutesy, adorable things in the movie with the characters, and I like that. Really makes me happy that they did some of that. And at the end of the film, there are moments of pure intensity. This last act of the film is really fast-paced and really intense and keeps you on the edge of your seat, and it's a fun finale to a movie that I absolutely love. It's just a great movie, guys. So, in my personal opinion, this movie is 100% popcorn as fuck, because it's an October movie. It's got a cool killer, it's got a fun cast, it's got a great setting. It's an easy hour and a half that's meant to entertain you. It will scare you a little bit. It's very intense at times, but this is that movie. Get some buddies, have some pizza, have some soda, have a good time watching this movie, and just get ready for Halloween. You know, that's what this is for. So, if I have swayed you, click the link in the description and get a copy of Hellfest for you today. But I suppose I should probably get going, because after all, there's a lot of movies out there, and Somebody's got to watch them. So why not me? Right? Evil, you need a hug.